Hey, welcome back to Jameson's Repair Shop. This is the second opening I made for this video. I made an opening previous, and then I uploaded a video. And in that video I had a comment, and I really appreciated the comment. It came from Sizzle073, and he pointed out that I had this lovely bench press sitting here, 12-ton jack on it, and he mentioned about, hey, maybe if you took that you could bend the heavy steel easier. And he was 100% correct on that. And it's funny how you get so involved in doing your work that you don't even look around sometimes for all the tools you have to make it easy on you. So I dug it out, and Sizzle073 mentioned about building little press areas like anvil and die kind of thing out of angle iron, and I will be doing that down the road. However, what I had already, again, not looking at what you had, I had a set of these vice brakes. They were perfect for doing the work I was doing on this part right here, which we'll get to in a second. So that's great. Excuse me. I really appreciate that, Sizzle073. You made my life so much easier. So let's get on to this video. I've already moved into it, and you're going to see in this video where I'm using these these vice brakes. I'm using them in a vise because it was simpler than pounding it over a piece of steel, especially the 14 gauge. It's not easy to work with. That's what this video will show on making this piece right here, the end cap for that inner structure on the car. So let's get on with it. All right, now that that's in there, I want to build this one next. And it's the next piece out, and it sits down on top. There's a flange right here that sits down on top of that piece I put in, and then the inner flange. And then you look at this brace for this convertible brace. It's between this flange and that flange. So that was put together before the outer skin was put on, or vice versa. I'm not sure how they did it. Doesn't matter how they did it. We got to rebuild it. All right, now I got a piece of steel up here, and my tape fell down. And this is pretty much just a channel with a cap on the end. Now it looks like when this was built, they just folded a piece of it over. But I think I'm going to do it differently. I'm going to weld that on. I think it'll be much simpler with this gauge. So I think I'm just going to build this, well, I am not going to think, I'm going to just build this channel right here. All right, so let me get at that. And I'll get this piece cut out, and then I'll clean up that steel, get this out of the way, and we'll be golden. I've gotten it marked up. I've got the 3 lines. So what I'm bending is these 2. This is a center line. This on the car I went and checked. It does have a bit of, just a slight bit of an arc in it, all the way along. So when I measured it, since I measured it all the way from here, it gives me that full range. So hopefully that'll work without too much tweaking. Alright, I had to readjust a bit, but now I think I have it. I'll give her a break and see how she goes. Okay, I didn't like it, so I took it over and I beat it back out. I didn't like it. It was just the thickness of the metal too far out, and you can't manipulate this stuff on the car, so it has to be done fairly accurately first. So, like I said in my last video, if you have to do it 10 times, it's no big deal. Do it. I think that's pretty much spot on. I'm going to go with that. Perfect. With this centerpiece here. Excellent. All right, I got that. Now I'm going to put the other flanges on and give it a little kink in the middle. All right, here we are at the car. This is the piece. Now I did make a few changes that I thought would be of more benefit than the way it was done from the factory. From the factory, this piece right here, this flange was jammed between the upper and lower flange, and it was all cockeyed, and I said, well, I can just cut that out and weld it in. I mean, it's a lot simpler. I realized when they broke these on a big punch or whatever, however they did it, it wasn't feasible to go back and weld that in. They just put some, you might remember when I was digging this out, they had some seam sealer in there to seal those gaps off. But anyway, you'll see the holes that I drilled, so that'll go. Then I cleaned up the red oxide there, and I cleaned up the red oxide there. And then there's the holes I drilled on this side to weld it together. Now, I don't think those were in the original build, but I felt to tie all this together would be a much stronger box frame. Now, this piece here, I think it's going to have to come off. I left it on for now because I'm not 100% sure. But what happens is when this comes down, it has to go through here and then go behind this. So one side of this support brace for this convertible, which are unique to convertibles, one side goes on this side of the flange and the other side tucks in back. Not sure how that's going to look, so I left that on there for now. Another thing that I came up with, looking at this brace here and what I'm going to do with it, because that's going to be the next plan of attack, this actually doesn't just go down into here. I thought it did, and I started looking at it and I said, well, they must have used it for more than that. So what Ford did, they put them between this flange, they also put it between this flange. So this actually, this brace goes right in. It'll be another piece of structure in here, completely rusted away, obviously, on my car. But it goes in pretty much, if you feel inside, I can just feeling it goes in right this far, about right to here, that it comes down underneath, we're back a little bit, and then goes all the way down inside between the outer and inner members here. So that posed an interesting problem. So how do I do that? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to have to split the flange down here. I'll take the spot welds out. I may even end up cutting this whole thing right off to there and over through here. Or maybe taking these spot welds out here. I'm not sure. I haven't decided yet. But with all that said, I was wanting to take this brace off and work under this, clean up this part of the torque box. So if I take this brace off, because I want to anyhow, it gives me full access to this support piece that goes right down into there. And I believe it's rusted up in behind here anyhow. I hope that makes sense to people. So that's what I'll be doing next. I'll be taking this brace off, splitting the, depending on what I find in there. If I can't work with it, I have to split it here somehow, because it did go right down through. And I'm going to try not to cut more off this, but if I have to, I have to. It's the way it is. All right, well, let's get back to this piece. We'll get this burnt in. And that's what it'll look like in there. I'll get it burnt in and coated with some red oxide and see how it looks. Well, there she is. I ran into some thin stuff right in there, so I had to put a patch in. And there's actually still a little hole there, so I'll get that from the other side. but I'll get it. I just wanted to get it covered with primer. This primer probably takes a couple of days to really cure up. I wanted to get the bulk of it done, so I can grind that out. I'll probably end up drilling that soft spot out right there and put a plug in it. But once I get access to the backside, I might be able to get it from there as well. So anyway, that's the tail end of that inner rocker, or inner structure, member, whatever you want to call it. Now, let's get at the inside of it. There we go. That went pretty easy. Spot welded on like that. Spot welds 4 on there and 4 on that side, but they didn't start the spot welds so low on. It looks like they tried to do one up here, didn't get it done. Then they just tack welded here with a welder, and it was tack welded there in these 2 places with a welder, as well as down here on this little thing. The bracket's in good shape, just this is a little thin, so it'll need to be fixed up. But overall, that bracket's nice. Set that aside. There's a little plate that this other bracket wasn't fastened to. It was just actually it wasn't spot welded in. It was welded with a welding machine. And I just ground the tops off and drilled them out. And that gives access to in here. So if you're wanting to inspect all this in here, there is another inspection place here, so there's really no reason to take all the stuff off, but there is access there if you need to. Set that aside. And in here, it is rusted, but it's not as rusted as I thought, but it doesn't really matter. It still needs to be fixed. But they had this triangular shaped hole in here, and most of it's still there. So it was just, well, there's rust around there and there's rust here. But yeah, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to continue on. I'm going to cut. I'm going to check a little closer, but I think I'm going to have to cut this off here. But I'll check to make sure it's not a joint there. But it looks like it's wrapped around. I don't want to take this plate off, so I'll just cut where I can re-weld it easily. And then take all the spot welds out and pull this cover off. And then once that's off, I think what I'm going to do to get access to put that this guard all the way down to the flanges, I think I'm going to cut this flange right off here. Right to about there. Whatever it takes to get to the full end of it. Because I can easily access that. There's some work here that needs to be done on this B-pillar, I know, but that can be done after I get all this in. So I'm trying to build this in steps. I don't want to take too much off at once. And then I will cut, I think what I'm going to do is cut the bottom flange off underneath on the outside to allow this to slide down once I rebuild it. I'm not going to take this off the car. I'm going to build it in place, but I want to be able to slide metal in. Alright, so let me get this cover off and we'll have a look inside that front part of that torque box. Okay, there now. Got that out. I'm not going to say that was easy because it wasn't. It was a lot of drilling, lots of manipulating to get it out of there, but it's out. I straightened the flanges out some already, so it didn't come out this good a shape. I get curved a bit, but anyway, I pounded it back down. So this is what we have in here. It's pretty good. I don't see any rust other than that spot that I missed from the outside, so I'm going to drill that out before I put this all back together and before I red oxide in there. But first I'm going to clean up the mess, but it's in good shape in there. Looks to be good shape there, and if I can look in, I don't know if you can see it, but I can look in from this port over here, and it looks good in this box here. So I'm not going to bother taking any more off there. It all seems to be good. So now I have access to remove this flange, like I said before. Clean this up. I'll weld up that plate I took out. Has to be fixed anyway because I cut the rust off the other end, as you remember. And we'll go for that. There, I've got her all opened up. A little pointer. So I slit that flange off. Easy to weld back on. It's in a good spot. I won't even have to grind it. Just leave it the way it is. You'll see the gap there now. as to where this went down through, all the way down through the bottom flange. Inside these pockets are good. I took a little time and ground that off. Like I said a bit ago, fix that little hole there. Then start working on this. Taking the lower flange off as well, but then start working on this. And I think while I'm here, there's a couple of small repairs. Let me get out here. All right, just give me a second. I get out of the car. All right, back at her. So there's a small repair here in this arch here in this flange for the B-pillar. There's some repairs right here. That doesn't need to be done right now, but this I'd like to do. And there's also a small bit of work in here in this area on the B-pillar on the back side. These are double walled. There's two pieces for that B-pillar. So yeah, I just want to bring this out, fix this up, get it looking good, and then probably we'll do this little bit too, because why not? It's all right there. So that's it for this. Like I said, I'll split this down here the same as I did up top. Probably cut that flange off. It went really well, no issue. It just fell right off because it was so rusty between them. And I'm guessing in here will be the same because that piece of metal that went all the way down is pretty rusty. All right, now that we've got that all taken off, we have to do a door check. Make sure nothing's shifted. Yeah, it's nice, still nice, good. So once these other little, like that brace is done in there, and the flanges are all put on, and I fix all these things around the B-pillar, that corner will be done, and I'll fix that floor. So that corner will be done, and we can continue on with the wheel well. The wheel well, or I'll move ahead up here. I think I'm going to stick to the wheel well though. This is going to take a bit of work up in there, and I want to stay focused on getting the back of this car done, and then move forward. But this is critical. This was a critical piece on this car, and it's looking pretty darn good right now. So, of course, yeah, no, I still have to build this obviously and get it all installed. That's good. So that's good. So I think I'm going to call it quits on this video right now. And the wife has some Christmas stuff that we have to do, and that brings me to another point. I'll probably be tapering off over the holiday season on the videos a little bit. I can't say I'll put 2 a week up anymore as it's been going, but I'll try to get for 1 a week. 2 if I can get them, but 1 a week. Husbandly duties call, and when you're young that means different than when you're old. When you're old it means, hey, help me with this renovation and do all that stuff. Anyways, no big deal. But yeah, so I'm rambling again. So I'm going to leave this video right here and get on with my Christmas stuff with the wife. And I'll see you in the next one.